Howdy, everyone. It is Friday, November 6th. This is Three Amigos, and we'll just kick right into it because, of course, the big news that's encompassing everything is that the Squiggly monster on The Masked Singer was Bob Saget. That's what I was looking up before we started.
All right. I love how every week when we do a recording, like, I don't know what to title anything. We always come up with some sort of title. This week's title is The Squiggly Monster.
Yeah, I was scrolling down. Of course, that's not the big news. Basically, we're delayed when we were starting is I was trying to scroll down CNN.com to find the first piece of news that wasn't about the election, and I was just going to say whatever that was, and it was that the friggin' Masked Singer beloved TV dad off. Anyway, it's the election, so we're getting some more clarity this morning. One of the seven I don't know if you call them networks, organizations that was approved by Twitter to call elections has already called Pennsylvania and the decision desk for Biden. So it looks heavily at this point like we're going to have a little divided government going. Or some sort of crazy thing happening in the Georgia runoff. And obviously this week stocks like that quite a bit because you get a little bit of the perceived stability with no new regulations or anything. It's going to be tough to do any of that.
Yeah, I was just talking to a buddy about that one. I think the fact that you're going to get a new president and then you're going to get, call it gridlock, and which means the taxes will probably stay the same. And a lot of the policies that are in place probably will stay, not big there shouldn't be, probably not likely to be too big of legislation being passed, right away.
Yeah, it'll be a stalemate for at least the first 2 years, and then we'll see how it changes from there.
And the market's like that, I guess. Hey, the corporations are like, hey, our taxes still stay lower, and yeah. So there's the markets did like this. It was kind of interesting watching them as the election night played out. I didn't really know who or what it was responding off of. Did you guys?
So I thought it was interesting watching it all. The first stuff, I was watching the betting market pretty heavily. Michael, one of our buddies, Billy, Billy well, he was keeping me very entertained. My buddy was just about the betting markets and the swings that were happening. So that one was pretty interesting. In the very beginning, before any of the totals or tallies were coming in, it was leaning heavily to Biden. By like 8 o'clock at night, it was leaning heavily to Trump, and now it's swung again. So it's just been all over the place. And I think up until like 1 o'clock in the morning, it was leaning pretty heavy towards Trump. And I think, the markets were reacting to a lot of that stuff. And so that's what I think kind of got the ball rolling. And then split government in general is kind of maintaining this. Now it's Friday. Obviously, we're seeing a little bit of a dip here today. But like we were just saying before we clicked live, big week like this, when you're seeing these markets, S&P's up, 200-ish points this week
from election day. Yeah.
From Monday, going from Monday to today, it makes sense that we're going to see the sell-off that's coming in here today. People are locking in money.
I wouldn't want to hold this over the weekend, given everything that's happened. And I think some of this rallies too, it's been fueled by, as we've talked about for a long time, of how high the VIX was going into this. And we've seen the VIX drop a good deal since then, which, given the frankly sort of, I don't know what they expected, how they expected Trump to react. You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of saying all the things that I think were the reason the VIX is high. I just think that it's not ultimately ending up that close or something like that. I mean, like, the situation we're in now is much different than, say, Florida in 2000. The closest analogy might be Georgia right now.
Chad?
What's up?
That's the hanging Chad, Al Gore.
Yeah. For everyone under 25 out there, go back and read the Wikipedia page. Yeah, no more hanging Chads. Now it's Sharpie ballots and whatever else. But Georgia's the only state that's super, super close. Like within can you imagine that? There were 5 million or almost 5 million votes cast in Georgia. And I think Biden's ahead by like 1,700 votes right now.
Well,
so,
Secretary of State, Georgia's Secretary of State just came out and said, we're automatically going into a recount. With how close this thing is, I think last I looked, like Biden was up 875 votes on in the entire state. That's, I mean, I don't know. I haven't been around for that many elections, but that's got to be one of the closest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the Al Gore Bush one was really close.
Was 500 votes.
That was 500. Okay.
You can actually. Yeah,
it was very cordial. They kind of like pat each other on the back, right? Go ahead. You can be president type deal.
Ultimately, though, like the reason the VIX came down, you could see a situation if Georgia were like the tipping point state here, where then things could get very heated. The thing is, it's just not. So we're kind of going on. As I said, we'll see what happens today, but I would imagine a number of networks will be making their calls from the Pennsylvania thing.
This week, the markets have loved something, and they've rallied a monster, and it's just been incredible to see. I mean, we're up at 3,500 right now in the S&P. I thought we were kind of rounding the bend, so to speak, on a trend down, starting to trend down from our highs, like a month or so ago. So, yeah, I mean, the markets love this.
Yeah, you just said something interesting. The markets liked something. It's not our job as traders to determine what it is that they liked. The market.
You may never figure it out either.
Right. We'll never. We don't have to know. Our job is just to take advantage of what the market's doing, and taking a couple days earlier this week, if you weren't trading, probably a great idea just to sit back and start to watch reaction first. Once you start to see that emotion playing out, then there's going to be the reaction to the emotion. And that's when you can start to actually look for some opportunity. So taking a couple of days off in the beginning of the week, heck, if you're not trading yet, that's totally fine too. I mean, it's been a whirlwind of a week. I mean, we can go back to Jake Tapper. It's a dumpster fire and a train wreck. I mean, it played out to a T this week.
So, hey, big question, Jack, before you jump in. Hey, Danny, did you trade election night?
Made one trade.
Okay. All right.
I made one trade. It was, to be honest with you, I was looking for more volatility. I was looking for way crazier things to happen. I wasn't crazy with what I saw. I made one trade, traded really, really small, and I got out really quick. I thought if we had more clarity of what was going to happen, then it would have been more enticing. I went to bed about 1 a.m. after making one trade, and I said, enough's enough. I just don't know what's happening here.
Yeah. I traded those prediction markets. So that was fun.
Traded or bet on?
I say traded because I think I had a perceived edge. I'll go into that some other time. But let's talk about some levels around here in the ES. And then you can ask me whatever questions you want about my weird political bets. As I said, we're hovering around 3,500 right now. So
we're not far off from the highs there. Remember, highs are close up to about 3,590. I think we're going to have some work to get there, though. There's 3,540, 3,561. Those are that's an area to really pay attention to as the market approaches. It's going to take a lot of work to get through there. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on the upside.
41.
Say again?
61 or 41. I got an old high of 41 October 12th.
Right. So I was looking between 40 and 61.
Okay.
Kind of given a little bit of an area there.
Yep.
I know it's a big area, but I'm also looking for bigger ranges right now. Yesterday, regular trading hours looked like a boring day when you looked at the chart, but it was still, the range was still 30, 35 handles. I mean, that's a huge range. Now to the downside, you guys know me. I love my 3380. I'm not going to stop talking about it. It has created so much opportunity over the last couple months. So keep that one in mind, but really I'm looking a little bit even lower than that. 3330 down to 3250. 3250 could totally come back into play. I mean, you think about it again, we're up a couple 100 points this week. It could easily turn around and go right back down by next Tuesday.
And yes, because we go back to stimulus, it's so interesting to me is we've talked a lot about this market is always looking for the next thing to go up. And when that thing doesn't happen, it decides, well, the other side's great too. We'll still go up, right? Because we have this divided government, but that also means, it was rallying before the election because the sort of predictors were saying that it was going to be a unified democratic government and that they were expecting big stimulus. And then it went up more because that didn't happen, right? So
Jack, you're well more in tune with this type of stuff going on in government. The stimulus, I've seen different things coming from all media outlets, but a lot are saying that we're not going to probably get the offer that we had a while back, that 1.9 trillion for the next stimulus. It will probably be lower. Do you think that's the case, or do you think they're actually going to probably get something through that's higher?
No, I think absolutely lower.
Right.
There is, if you look at the calculus too of them not passing it before when the Senate was kind of on that, I think that McConnell was already bracing to rediscover fiscal responsibility in a Biden presidency if they ran the Senate, right? So I can't imagine it would come in higher. So
that was my assumption. And I think that's important to pay attention to and think about too. Now that's going to be the conversation leading up to inauguration. I think they're going to try and get something through eventually.
So what are all these levels, right? We had a crazy week this week. What is it pricing in?
Well, I think
the non-tax cuts.
Okay.
The tax cuts staying, I should say. I think it's the taxes.
And I think number two is just the drop in the VIX in that we're past. Like they were pricing in that VIX a premium on the crazy shit we thought could happen, like violence in the streets, violence at the polls, very close, something like that. And that seems not to be happening. So the VIX drops making it go up too.
I got a good chuckle the other day. Someone posted down and they were in the city and they posted like a meme saying the Nevada's taking forever. The protesters don't even know what to protest.
Dude, I hope the meme game stops after all this.
I've stopped following most all political things. I've given up on it. I'm watching Netflix, the Rob Schneider show on Netflix to forget about everything else.
Well, speaking of Netflix, let's take a look at the NQ.
Woo.
Yeah, that's a transition, baby. That's how you do it.
Man, that thing's going. Tech stocks are happy. Tesla. Look at Tesla. That thing's still sitting up at $440 a share. That had a 5-for-1 split a couple of months ago. I mean, so multiply 440 times 5. We're sitting just under $2,500 a share. I mean, unbelievable. I thought we'd see a bigger sell-off in that, people locking in profits, but no one really seems to care. A lot of room to the upside here.
The low is like 311 at the bottom of the pandemic. So, divide that by 5.
Right.
Unbelievable.
I wish I got in it
to 440. Oh yeah. I wish I got into everything that went up 10x.
I'm kicking myself over it.
Yeah, well,
that's life.
Yeah. So we're sitting around 12,000 there. One interesting development we'll be able to see. One place, as long as the theme's sort of government here, and this is, not necessarily short term, but the one thing that it seems both sides of the political spectrum kind of agree on, albeit for different reasons, is they have a will to regulate these tech giants. So that's something that's interesting to watch too, because if you think about a divided government where they can't get that much done, you could see them doing something on this, right?
Yep. I think that is the thing that I could see them doing. And what was it? It's all about your privacy and your data and things like that, right?
And censorship that they're
on one side, on the other side.
I mean, it's just all over. There's so many things that everyone's bringing up. Here's a couple places to keep an eye on though in the Nasdaq. Just again, it's tough to define levels in this type of environment when we're seeing 1,000-point ranges.
Areas.
It's all areas. So every level I talk about, like I said, S&Ps, I'm looking at a 20-point range for a level. I mean, that's huge. So keep that in mind with any of these levels that I mentioned. So Nasdaq, our high is up by 12,475. We're not terribly far off from there, but it's going to take a little work to get there. 12,100. So let's give this a range, 12,000 even up to 12,200, kind of an area to look for. On the downside, I have a couple models running all the way down to 10,930. A lot of work to get there. We could see it flip. I'm not going to I don't even have an opinion on direction at this point. But to get down there, we still got to get below that 11,900. So really where I'm looking for opportunity is going to be between 11,900 up to approximately 12,100, 12,200. That's kind of an area I think there's going to be potential reaction. We may see some consolidation there and start to see some candlestick patterns forming. If you don't know much about candlestick patterns, we got a lot out there. There's a blog series on it. There's also a webinar that we did recently that talks about candlestick patterns. Check those out. YouTube and topsteptrader.com/blog. A couple places to look at these candlestick patterns, because if we start to see Nasdaq fall into something, I wouldn't be surprised to see one of those patterns start to develop and give yourself an edge on how those patterns tend to play out.
Yeah, that series is written by JD the Dancing Bear himself. So
that it is.
All right. Yeah. Like obviously everything's volatile. Might as well take a look at the Dow while we're at it. What's to say that we haven't said?
Well, this one's not near the highs yet. I mean, we have not made a high since March. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Michael?
I don't know. I mean, it's
the Dow trader doesn't know.
I mean, the old man or ever. I've jumped over the S&P. I like the youthful vibes of the S&P. It's not as youthful and charismatic, crazy like the Nasdaq, but
it's still the benchmark, I think.
Still the benchmark.
We're ways off from our highs.
We're ways off. We are off from our highs, and it's not even testing our October highs. And our September 03, 02 was the last high. So
okay.
No, I mean, unlike the other ones, the Dow and the Nasdaq and the S&P, they're already testing their October highs that we made back in October 12th ish.
Yeah. So I think with the Dow, something you got to pay attention to. First off, this pandemic, it's not in the news this week because of elections. But
new highs.
Just the other day, we hit new highs of record number of cases in the United States. It's happening not just in the United States, it's happening in Europe. It's happening all over the world. We're seeing record numbers.
No. Australia has 0 new cases. Did you read that article?
Oh, maybe. I didn't see that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it was one. I think it was from somebody's blog website or something. No, it was actually from a trusted outlet.
Was it a meme? Was it a meme that you saw on the internet?
No.
It was like a kangaroo with some white text on it.
Random fact about kangaroos. There are a few states in the United States that you can have a kangaroo without a permit. Then there's a couple more that you need to have a permit. There are approximately 14 million kangaroos in the world. And it was a stat I saw the other day. I thought it was a really random one, but
Wisconsin
I
is one of the places where you can have a kangaroo without a permit.
Yep.
And my Australia fact to go, you said there's 14 million kangaroos. The entire continent of Australia has the same population as Florida. Think about that.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Plenty of social
and every
distancing
kangaroo names his baby Joey.
That is true. So anyway, I think we've all gone delirious from the last 4 days. See, it's not even 4 days. It's like 3 days at this point. So anything
we didn't even touch on the other news that came out this week. The Fed announcement yesterday, no change.
Oh, yeah.
Jerome Powell had to get his 2 cents in.
Yeah. He didn't make it to the top of the popular list of conversations yesterday.
Usually that's a big conversation. We had unemployment today, 6.9%, 680,000, I believe, new jobs created. But again, like I was just saying, with the pandemic still happening, with all these new cases, we may see those numbers start to turn around again. There's more and more talk about more and more places going back to shutdowns. And so we have a lot that's going to happen. It's going to get us through at least the rest of this year and definitely into the new year.
Great times. Anyway, well, yeah, the thing with like Powell too is he could release his next 8 announcement for the next 8 months, and they could release him in advance. Just no change.
Right.
Like, tell us what you're about. Yeah, so
it's been a baffling week with all the information that's come in. Some of it's not being listened to by the markets. Some of it is. What is the markets responding to? So this has been I mean, I traded the election night. I did one loss. I gave myself a $500 loss from it. And I came out pretty good ahead with about $2,000 night. So I thought that was very good on one loss.
There you go.
In the range. Yeah, it was very algo trading. So I didn't think there was much that they were going to do about breaking out of the range.
That was what I was surprised by. The algos never really shut off. The HFTs never really shut off.
You could see them playing. You could see them kind of doing their thing.
They were just catching bids and offers and moving it for us. I mean, it was definitely tradable. Thin, very, very thin.
Very, very, very thin. Yep.
So you had to be quick to exit. You could have got slippage very fast, but definitely they were still going. I was shocked by that one.
The Nasdaq was about this wide from bid and offer on the line.
Right. That brings you back to days on the floor when you could just be a market maker and one on the bid, one on the offer, get filled both with both at the same time and just moving it. It was that's what it would look like to me.
We'll save the reminiscences. What is the plural of reminiscence? Maybe there isn't one. Anyway, the old memories we'll talk about some other time. But for now, I gotta get ready to go up to Michigan. So
enjoy it.
I will. But
that's a blue state. That's a blue state now. So
I know. I'm going back there. I'll have to
decide what to pack.
Sorry, I got allergies, I swear.
The Rona.
Oh no, not like that. Oh, I had some quippy comebacks there, but I'm more careful with my words.
How about this? You just have a good drive up there, huh?
Absolutely. I'll have a lovely drive up there. And I'll see you guys next week. And everyone out there, hope you had fun watching. Check out the blog, check out the podcast, start a trading combine if you're into that. And we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Adios.
Adios.